Pete the Greek in the house.
What up?
Always great to see you, brother.
Oh, thank you so much.
How's San Diego life been for you?
I've been wrist locking it. I lost a couple friends, but they come around.
They forgive you?
Well, it's not even that I'm wrist locking them. It's like I have a couple friends. Well, I have a lot of friends, but when one friend wrist locks another friend, who do you think they blame? They blame Pete the Greek. Meanwhile, they're having fun together, hanging out. But when the one friend wrist locks the other guy, they're still friends. They just blame me. But yeah, I love San Diego. I live in Pacific Beach. Joel Tudor calls it Pete's Beach because PB. So yeah, I like it over there. It's kind of like Rio de Janeiro. There's people everywhere, chicks everywhere, good food. I love it.
Chicago?
Well, Chicago's always in my heart. I love it in the summer. But with my injuries, when it hits below 0, I can't even move. And so I thought it was just me, but then I ask around. Everyone says, yeah, what do you expect when you have artificial discs in your spine and you're in below 0 weather? You're not going to feel good. So I love Chicago. I wish I could live there. But the temperature changes so much. It goes real humid, goes real cold. I think when the barometric pressure changes, that's when the body hurts. So, yeah, I'll always visit. Chicago's my hometown. I mean, everyone likes the Chicago Bulls. Look at the B team. They're the Bulls now. I used to go to Chicago Stadium and watch Jordan. Now even Jiu-Jitsu's the Bulls. So, yeah, Chicago's one of those places, one of the best places in the world for sure.
Yeah, man. Brazil? Those are your places, huh?
Rio de Janeiro, I love that place. Like, I went back there for the first time in 16 years, and people didn't even know I left. They thought I still lived there. And then they were spray painting photos of me. Like, their artists were making renderings of me on the wall. Got to hang out with Henzo. Yeah, Brazil is really cool.
You were telling me, like, back in the day when we were younger, like going to Brazil, right? And then people recognizing you now, right?
Oh, yeah, when I went there.
Telling you wrist lock the world.
It's crazy. Well, people would always recognize me there. They thought I was Henzo or house brother or cousin or something, just affiliated, somehow related. But yeah, last time when I went back, I was walking down the Calçadão, along the beach, and Brazilians were coming up to me asking to take pictures, like, wrist lock the world. So I thought it was a trip. It's full circle. When I went there, I was just a kid. And now when I go there now, it's like I'm still a kid. Mm-hmm. So I love it. And that's how I always try to keep my jiu-jitsu. I always said that when I left Brazil. I was saying to my friend Tony D'Souza, like, you got to keep your jiu-jitsu good enough so if you ever move back to Brazil or if you ever go to Rio, your skills have to be good enough to open a gym and be successful over there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I always try to keep my skill level where just in case I was ever to go to Rio and open a gym, I'd have a successful school.
2006, right, was the last time they had the Worlds in Brazil?
Yeah, around 2004, everyone started leaving.
And then in 2007, they had the first Worlds here, and now we're just saying how, the Mecca's here in, like, SoCal.
Yeah, because in the United States, we have the best sports, I think, the best coaching, the best recovery. We play every sport here. In most countries, they're just playing soccer, volleyball, maybe some basketball. But here, you get to pick from football players, basketball players. You have every type of athlete in this country. So eventually, jiu-jitsu will go to everyone, I think, over here. And you'll see United States having the best. I have Caden Tyratolo. I don't even think they've even been to Brazil.
Really?
They haven't even been to Brazil, so they're able to beat everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brazil's great. That's why I like California so much. It kind of reminds me of Brazil.
Yeah, yeah. What do you like? Compare the worlds in Brazil, comparing the worlds to here in U.S.
I remember in Brazil, it was cool. You'd have pigeons flying around inside the stadium, so you see the birds. When we'd go to Brazil, it's the same. Everything's the same. Jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu. Doesn't matter where you're at, whether you want to call it the World Championships here or
Yeah,
there.
the vibe is the same, right? Like the chants, the people still, it's the teams, I feel like it's a little more, it was a little more raw back in the day, right? Because, kids come from, the Terere and like just different people would come to the Tijuca Tennis Club and the pigeons and the bathrooms.
Oh, the bathroom's horrible. You know what I mean? Like you try to use the bathroom as soon as you get in there. Because if you have to go later, you're going to be in trouble. And then you got to watch out you don't get jacked on the way home.
Or going in.
You take the subway or whatever, the bus, like first you got to conquer getting to the place. And then, I liked it there. I did well. They would always cheat me because I was American, but the fans loved me. And that's what it was about. And so I was able to win Brazilian people's hearts because they've seen me so many times. It was right after BJ Penn won the Worlds at black belt. And they weren't going to have that happen again. They're like, no way. I remember even on the Worlds video that year, they didn't even put his match on that one. They had every other match. I'm like, but BJ Penn's wasn't shown. So I'd almost get to the finals of the Worlds, but I lost a few times. It's like little decisions. But I think hopefully in the United States, maybe they give the benefit of the doubt to more Americans. I'm not sure. But back then, no way. If you didn't submit the guy, you lose.
Yeah, yeah. People don't realize how common that was, Like it was very like unfair and, kind of crazy.
Yeah, my coach Carlson, he would go nuts. Like if he didn't like the ref, he'd get out there on the floor and switch the refs, make a big thing, say, no, this guy's the worst. And Jiu-Jitsu is growing now. I don't even know what to say. We're at a point now where only time will tell.
Mark Zuckerberg's training Jiu-Jitsu.
Crazy. Actually, he's training with, I know the people he's training with.
Dave
it's a small
Camarillo.
circle. Yeah, I think like Dave's brother-in-law is friends with Zuck.
Right.
It's like his best friend. That's the guy you see him always training with. And then you got the guy from EA Sports. People don't even talk about him, but I heard he's doing jiu-jitsu. So yeah, jiu-jitsu's growing. It's a sport of superheroes. Like basically, if you're living right now and you're still a white belt, it's gotta suck. You should like.
People ask me like, man, did you think about having a school when you were starting to train, when you were training and when you went to Brazil? And I'm like, man, I just loved it so much. I never thought about having a school, making a lifestyle of it, like being able to do this, to do this like full time. I just just one step led to another, right? And
yeah, it's eventually. I mean, that's what you're doing as a kid. That's making you happy. And then I think you just have to see a few successful people in order to be successful.
Yeah. I mean, like back in those days, right? It was like Fight Club days. Like, and I went down in the '90s, right? And I came back in like 2000 and started my school. But it was like Fight Club days in a way.
I think you were the first one over there. You and Amal.
Yeah.
When was that? Like '93?
No. We went 90. I think it went 95. I went like
so right
90,
after Hoist
96.
Gracie.
Yeah.
And that takes. I mean, there was no Americans there at all.
Yeah.
And then I showed up after you guys a couple years later. And then, shoot. Then everyone started moving away around 2004. I remember Roger, his dad was living in England. And a few of the guys went over to England. There was a guy named Sal. He was really good. And he went there for a few months and came back with a bunch of money. And everyone's like, whoa, we got to go to England. And everyone started going to England. And they start going to New York.
Sal, from Gracie Baja?
Yeah.
Yeah, I competed against him. He had a really good guard, right?
Yeah, he was really
guard.
smart. He'd teach me a lot of cool things. I heard the other day he opened up, he's like a billionaire. He opened up
the startup,
website.
like a
Hotel Urbano.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Brazilian all-inclusive
like
hotels,
booking,
something like that. But
yeah.
it has everything all-inclusive because Brazilians, they're smart. Like you show up to Brazil and you're American, they say it's only $50. Next thing you know, they're a la carte and everything. So Brazilians, when they travel, they want everything. They want to know the price to everything, all-inclusive. So I think that's what he did, was he has all the best deals for all-inclusive places around the world.
Okay.
And it popped off. Yeah, and so I'd hang out with Sal a lot, Roger Gracie. Those were like the two best guys over there, brown belts. And that's how I hear about you guys. Amal would come once in a while. And we had a big crew. Scotty from on the mat. I mean, it was a great crew. I tried going to Carlson's, but the team had just split up. And then they put me to be an MMA fighter. But I wasn't ready for that. I'm like, I want to be good at jiu-jitsu first.
Who had you doing MMA? Who wanted you to do MMA?
Oh, because the whole team left. Like, all the best guys left Carlson's gym.
Oh, okay.
So the only few fighters they had left were MMA fighters. They had Paulo Filho, that guy, Navallada, Jay-Z Calvacante, and a couple other 4 or 5 guys we'd train. We would just train every other day, like 3 days a week, because the training was so hard.
That was the time of the break off of Brazilian top team, right?
Right after the team broke off. And then I said, this is cool, but my body was sore. You're training MMA hard 3 days a week. You have no time for jiu-jitsu. So I told the guys, hey, I'm gonna chill a little bit on MMA. I want to get better at jiu-jitsu. I was training at De La Riva's school, Gracie Baja, Oswaldo Alves. I got to go everywhere. Everyone liked Carlson. I go to TED. And so I was lucky, because...
What was MMA training like back in those days? Like, or at Carlson's at least, Well,
we do like regular rolling and stuff, but we'd add like, so example, if you're in your closed guard, normally in jiu-jitsu, the guy closes the guard, the guy stands up, you're trying to like do a sweep. But as soon as we stand up, we're throwing like simulated punches from everywhere. And then Carlson, if he sees us do something wrong or something he can help, he'd stop us. So we would just do the training, and then he'd be like, stop. We stop, stay in that position, he'd fix it a little bit, and then continue. But it wasn't like hands-on instruction like a normal class.
Was it MMA practice?
Yeah.
Or was
both.
Okay.
But he would do it like, I see a lot of the coaches now, like they're showing techniques. He wouldn't do that because all the guys are already good. They're already specialized in what they do. So he would just stop them and fix it.
My experience was back in the day doing MMA or starting to fight MMA when I would get with my Draculino, and it was like you would try to take somebody down. The guy would have gloves, and I would just try to close the distance and take him down.
We would do that,
and the guy would just tee off on me, and I couldn't punch him back.
I used to do that with Roger a lot. That was hard to do against Roger. He's so long and tall. You're trying to he's just punching you in the face. Yeah, but that's how we used to train. The boxing wasn't as good, right?
Right.
I mean, Vitor had good boxing.
It was a different time too, right? Like, a lot of people didn't know jiu-jitsu, so, it was a different whole, not a whole different thing, but, different.
Well, the thing about MMA is your basic jiu-jitsu is going to work a lot more. The stuff you learn in the beginning is really going to help you. It's not going to be like the latest and greatest Barambola move. It's going to be the stuff
No, for sure, the basics, yeah. But just how it's evolved, right? And, from New Mexico, right? So I used to Greg Jackson and just all the ground and pounds and just all the strategy and tactics, wall fighting. And, it's a trip to see it evolve, right? And become its own sport, because back in those days, it was like if you were jiu-jitsu, you were a jiu-jitsu fighter, and you would represent, even when I started fighting, I was representing jiu-jitsu in the cage.
Of course.
And you were still kind of representing your own martial art. And now it's like you're a mixed martial art fighter. You have to know the game. Of course, you're going to maybe be better at one thing than the other, but you're pretty good in all of the things. And then it's really like the better athlete, or, maybe they have the best,
steroids.
Steroids. Maybe. In Japan, at least.
Who knows?
Who knows, yeah.
I know now these guys are taking like human growth hormone. They go, well, it's not synthetic, it's humans. So I don't know. I know all those guys end up bald real quick when they start messing with all that stuff. So I've had chances, but the only thing I've left in my body is not wrecked is my hair. I mean, look, I got my tooth. That looks terrible.
Recently.
And then they're telling me they got to drill a hole up in my gums. Like, that just freaks me out. I don't even know if I can handle having screws in my gums. But here's the thing. Jiu-jitsu. Whether you train with this guy, whether you train with that guy, that's the way I look at it. And some people are going to be better at certain things. I'm better at wrist locks because I hurt my back in a car accident, and I couldn't do arm bars anymore. I couldn't do triangles, so I could just grab the guy's wrist and snap it. And then I started getting better at it. And now I'm wrist locking the world. I get to live my dream and just travel around teaching people how to snap people's wrists. I mean, it's almost like a joke. I remember I met one of my friends, and they're like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, well, I bend the wrist this way, and I bend the wrist that way. Sometimes I twist it. And that's about, I keep it simple. And that's where we're at.
Wrist lock the world.
And Greg Jackson, by the way, I'm good friends with one of his friends, which is Nick White. Nick White is their dog trainer for all those guys. He trained Bones dog, and I'm going to be sending Greg Jackson a T-shirt. I was supposed to send it last year, but I've been so behind. My mom passed away. But Greg Jackson, sorry about that, but he really likes wrist locks. They were saying that one day a year at the Jackson Academy, they have a tournament where you can only finish the guy with wrist locks. And so hopefully I'll make it out there someday.
That's cool. That's cool. Wow.
Small world. So about the MMA training, so after I got back from Brazil, Carlson moved to Chicago. And we had a blue belt there that was tough as nails. He had just started boxing, named Stephan Bonner. And Carlson says, boy, I'm going to make this guy champion. He only knew one move. He just knew the Kimura. And he did a little bit of Golden Gloves boxing, and Carlson made a contact with the UFC, and he went over there and did well. Yeah, and Stephan Bonner, we trained him just barely any training, and he went and had one of the best fights in the UFC.
I mean, save the UFC,
Saved the UFC. Well, Carlson saved the UFC the first time. That was like the third time. The first time he saved it was when Royce lost, and Jiu-Jitsu was going down, and then they brought Vitor Belfort in, and it changed the whole dynamic. People were like, whoa, Jiu-Jitsu people can look like that. Because they were used to seeing Jiu-Jitsu guy being like a little scrawny guy.
Like Royce Gracie.
Like Royce, well, not scrawny, but just much smaller. Now you have a guy that's bigger than everyone, that knows how to box. And so the UFC started getting pumped again with that. Yeah, shout out to UFC. They're always nice to me. Whenever Dana White goes to Chicago, I always get him a bottle of wine. He goes to my friend's steakhouse, and they always, like for the past 10 years, they bring a bottle of wine on Pete the Greek. So shout out to Dana White. You're cool.
That's cool. Man, I was thinking, because you trained with Oswaldo Alves.
Yeah,
right?
I just saw him before he passed.
Yeah. And he was he mentored Fredson Paixão.
I talk to Fredson all the time. He knows all the wrist locks too. Well, we know different ones because we learned them around the same time, and then we split apart for like 15 years. So yeah, Fredson's a wrist lock master for sure.
I competed against him back when I was a purple belt. And I was like, watch out for his wrist lock. And he got me the wrist lock, except I didn't tap.
Yeah, Fredson was a scary individual.
My wrist hurt for 15 years, but I won the match.
No, yeah, I got I have this bone popped out from Fredson.
I told him, I was like, man, I told him that he remembered the match too, but the fact my wrist hurt for like a good decade after.
Fredson's good friends with Dana White. He's over there by the UFC.
He trains there for Fertitas, right?
Yeah, he's Fredson's a cool guy. Like, look, Carlson had the best gym in Copacabana where I was at for a large school with plenty of fighters, and Oswaldo down the street had the best school for like a couple fighters. There'd only be like 5 or 6 students. Well, Carlson, they have hundreds. So yeah, Oswaldo spent a lot of attention with us. You have Andre Galvao's living with us, Fredson, Jacare, Bibiano Fernandez. There's been more, I forget who, but yeah, there's a lot of guys.
Yeah, he went straight from purple to black too.
Yeah, him and Oswaldo did it with a couple guys. He did it with Sergio Pena, I think, too. Oswaldo liked that because brown belt's not a belt like we think you should keep someone too long. Even Glover says that. Like a brown belt, we try to keep him like a year and a half because it's kind of like a belt where, I don't know, it's like an intermediary belt. Because when you're a really good purple belt, you should be able to tap out black belts. And then the brown belt just kind of like, and they were doing it too, like what our school was so competition based, Oswaldo would look at the brackets and see, you know, because Fredson was like in Penna weight class. And they see, okay, next year you only have these guys to beat. It wasn't like there was hundreds of guys. There's like 4 or 5 guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then put Fredson right in there and won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fredson's cool. He's my best friend in Brazil. We'd spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in years. I always try to go visit him. I just don't like going to Vegas. It's too hot.
But you went back to Chicago, right? And then you had a school for a long time.
I went back to Chicago for a little bit with Carlson, helped Stephan Bonner. We also had Miguel Torres. Miguel Torres, he came to us too. He was a local fighter, and Carlson supercharged him. Took him to Brazil, challenged the whole country. He went on television and said, I have a Mexican fighter that can beat anyone in Brazil. And that's when Jose Aldo, the only person that accepted the challenge was Andre Pederneiras, who's a Carlson black belt. And they were going to set it up between him and Aldo. But they didn't even want to pay Miguel anything, so the fight never happened. And small world, Miguel is the WEC. And then he ends up not fighting that. And who takes over that weight class? Dominic Cruz, one of my best friends as well. So small world. Those guys are, shout out to Dominic Cruz too. He's probably one of the most intelligent people ever, besides you. No, I'm serious. You only meet a few smart people in this sport. Like Dominic's super smart. And shout out to Dominic Cruz. He's always helping me out. I see him over at Victory when I go around everywhere. I don't have a school. My coach passed away. So I'm allowed anywhere. I think Glover and I are the only 2 people that can go anywhere with no problems. As far as any school, anywhere, because people know I'm not coming in trying to take their business. I'm not trying to do anything like that. I love jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're at. Actually, I'm not going to open up a school for a while.
But you had your place in Chicago back.
I just recently closed it.
It's like it's been a while, right? Like
I opened up my school in 2007.
You hurt your back and
and my guys were running it, but the thing is, I just can't handle the winters there, so it wasn't fair to them. So I'm over here.
Yeah, you're saying you're not going to open up
not right now. I might do something else. Like I want to check my options. I've been in the jiu-jitsu world. See, growing up, my dad had a bunch of businesses. We were in business, so I had to help my dad with opening restaurants and stuff. And you weren't so emotionally tied to these businesses like a jiu-jitsu gym. You could open it, like we'd flip restaurants. We'd find a struggling restaurant instead of flipping the house. And we just turn a few things around. Maybe most of the time they wouldn't even be making money just because they had the kitchen set up wrong. You know, do a few things. We either keep it for a month, maybe keep it for 10 years, who knows, and just sell it to someone. Because people always come in when the restaurant's busy and say, hey, you looking to sell? And then we'd flip them. But when you have a jiu-jitsu gym, you're so emotionally tied to everything. You know, I sell a hot dog. I'm not emotionally tied to that. When I have a gym, the student has a problem. Now I'm emotionally tied to it. And I had my problems with my neck, my back, my surgery. My mom was ill. So I couldn't be there for my guys. And having a gym is more like being a psychologist. Sure, you show them the moves, but people have problems. They're going to look to you to help. And so since I had so many things going on in my life, I couldn't give back to them. So I figured the best thing to do is just stop right now, and I'll pick up my tracks later when I'm able to actually help people again, because I don't like ignoring students. I like being there for them. And so now I'm taking like a sabbatical. I did 20 years straight, no 30, I don't know. Since 14 years old till now, that's like 31 years. Need a little break.
You have your BJJ Fanatic series.
Oh, thank you,
videos.
BJ. Michael Zanger, you're the best. When I first met Mike, I was all injured too. I said, Mike, I don't even know if I could keep my school any longer. I'm injured. I have to get a back surgery.
Yeah.
He's like, look, your videos will do well enough where you'll be all right. And they are. So thank you so much. Those guys are the best. That's all I got to say about that. Mike Zanga, Bernardo Faria, Bernardo, I call him Saint Bernardo, because that guy, man, he's always got a big smile. When you teach something, even if he knows it, he's very nice. He's like, whoa, I never saw him. I'm like, come on, Bernardo, I know you saw that. But he's like, no. So yeah, best. Those two guys are the best as far as making videos.
Are you surprised the success of BJJ Fanatics? Because you were like a little bit earlier on, right?
Not surprised. Well, COVID actually helped all that. So, yeah, I was wondering, like, man, COVID's coming, no one's training. But yeah, right. People started buying all these videos and training in their garages. So, yeah, you know, there you go.
I remember when Bernardo was still competing, and he was telling me all these things, just marketing, just different things he was studying and testing out back in those days.
Whoa.
And so, yeah, it was cool to see him, like, implement it or actually do it, you know, later on.
Yeah, Bernardo and I have similar games. Like, we do deep half guard and over-under passes. I mean, that game's hard to beat. Like, all the fancy stuff, like, the guy's not able to invert when you have him in an over-under. If you have a good deep half guard, very difficult to get leg locked. So, yeah, that's my game. So, yeah, shout out to Bernardo. That's why Bernardo likes wrist locks, too. They all do.
So what have you been up to?
So right now,
because you're like, you know, we're talking about you're like in pretty good shape. You know?
Oh, I'm in shape. Yeah, I'm a student of the game. Like right now, I was a teacher. Now I'm a student. Right now I'm back to being a student again. So that's what I do. When I'm in the gym, I'm not worrying about everyone else learning. I'm picking up stuff right now. And so I feel like it's super important to me. Continuing education, something like that. And so that's what I'm doing. I remember when I was a realtor, they'd make you do that every few years. So there's a reason for that. So yeah, I'm going into the field. Plus I'm new in California. I like to visit all these places as a student. I don't want them looking at me as like a business competitor or anything like that, because then it takes away my Pete the Greekness. Like, how am I going to walk into someone's school if we're fighting over the same students? So I'm smart enough where I can make enough money in any other business and be friends with everyone in jiu-jitsu. So that's just the thing. I'm not looking to cut off any friendships here. I want to be a Californian and see what it's about. Because it's like being in Brazil again. Imagine I moved to Brazil and opened a school right there. That wouldn't be cool, because now I can't really be free. So now I'm pretty free. I get to visit you. Last night, I think, what have I done so far? I drove from San Diego. I showed up to Six Blades with Brian. Shout out to Brian. He's like top-level sniper.
Yeah.
And then from there, I drove over to Eddie Bravo's, and they were jamming music till about like 11 a.m. because I know they start late. And now I'm here.
11 a.m. or 11
p.m.? 11 p.m., I'm sorry. Because I'm thinking like...
I was like, all night?
No, I showed up there like around 9:30, 10. Most schools would be closed.
Yeah.
But, you know, they were just starting to jam, so listening to Eddie's songs, I mean, he's really talented.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow... Where do I go tomorrow? I go to Ocean Grown Jiu-Jitsu. I haven't been there yet. It's Hey Diogo is one of my friends from back in Chicago. He was one of our instructors.
That's cool. You were hanging out with the Rotulli brothers.
Oh, I always do. Yeah, those guys. Number one,
before
brothers.
Before they, you know, the ADCC. Before, you know, you were like you're spending a lot of time with them.
Yeah, I still do.
Seemed like, yeah,
they're nice people. My mom passed away. They're real tight with their mom, so they kind of understood I was broken. Now I'm doing all right, and they're traveling a lot. You'll see Ty just wrist locked someone in one fighting championship and gave me a shout out. It was cool. Like, he tried snapping the guy's arm, then he went to the wrist, and you see the guy holding his hand, all crazy. But yeah, shout out to the Rotolos. And now Jocko Fuel, they're working with Jocko Fuel. We go hang out with Jocko. Yeah, so like my friends over there in San Diego are Rotolo brothers and Jocko. So it's like, and I go to Andre Galvao's a lot. I go everywhere, you know. No one charges me, thank God. And Man, because the schools out here are expensive. If I had to pay for all the gyms I train at, I'd be dropping like $2,000 a month. So yeah, shout out to all you guys, Galvão. I know Galvão thing's a blue belt. We got like our first Van shoes together. I brought them and stuff. Fredson, and Andre.
Was it the TT back in those days?
Well, before we were at Oswaldo Alves. Andre comes from a school. His name is Careca. Careca's in San Jose dos Campos over there in Sao Paulo. Yeah. So Careca is a black belt from Oswaldo. So with the...
That's where Andre started.
Yeah. So with the smaller schools, you if you're like the best one there, it's a small place in Sao Paulo, it would send them to Oswaldo. Well, they would send them to the Worlds, and if they won, the guys that won the Worlds would stay with us. And so Andre won that year, and so he ended up staying. And then he went to Tereré. There's a lot of political stuff in jiu-jitsu. That's what gets tiring. Like, people forget, like, jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu. So for one reason or another, he left and went with Tereré. I would go train with them, too, in Sao Paulo. And that was fun training. With Oswaldo, it was more like strict training. Like, you're getting punished. With Tereré, it was fun training. It was like, man, we're going to have a blast today. It's kind of like the Rotolo brothers.
Did you watch the movie they made on Tereré?
Did not. I should check it out, though.
It's on HBO Max. You have to get like a VPN.
Was it all right
Brazil.
or what?
That was great. It was awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I watched it with my family, my kids.
Whoa. I saw Cidade Deus in Brazil at the movie theaters. Every time I go to the movies in Brazil, it'd be like on the weekends. Because it'd be like a Friday night or Saturday night just to chill. I'd see Carlon Gracie Junior. He'd always be there. I'd turn around, look behind me, and he'd be eating popcorn and stuff. I seen him at the movies at least like 40 times. And we never say we're going, but that's where he'd go to chill too. So yeah, the movies in Brazil hit different. It's fun. I mean, it's cool. The malls in Brazil are great. Like when it's raining out in Rio, we go to like Barra Shopping. And they have these cute girls on rollerblades. They're sweeping up the place. Like out here, like they're like the custodians. No, they have hot chicks in spandex on rollerblades sweeping up the mall. So yeah, shout out to Barra Shopping. If it's ever raining in Brazil, find your way over there.
Got it, Kevin?
Oh yeah, we used to go there with Scotty on the mat and start interviewing chicks, and that was a great time. Those are the old on the mat videos. You had Dang Fever.
Yeah,
that was fun. It was when I was there during Dang Fever. Everyone was scared of that. It was kind of like how people were freaking out with COVID back then. It was dengue.
Yeah, the mosquito that. What would dengue do? Like it was kind of what would happen?
It's like a COVID thing or something. You just stay. It was like that. You just stay sick
for a long time.
I don't get sick.
Yeah.
I just in Greece when you have a backache, they say you have a cold in your back. If your knee hurts, you have a cold in your knee. So like I keep it simple. I don't know exactly what I have, but I believe in my immunes, and I like taking naps. If you're ever feeling sick, take a nap. Drink some water. You might feel better.
How do you compare the old school, back in the day, jiu-jitsu to jiu-jitsu now?
I don't think the people knew how to train correctly back then. I think they were overtrained. Shoot. I think it's good the way we were training like that to like mentally make you strong. But the people here are smarter. Like if you see the top competitors nowadays, they don't train as much as the guys were back then, but they're training smarter. So, yeah, right now it's becoming a science. Back then, we would train so much, we would just be zombies, like to prove our loyalty to the coach. Like, no, coach, we don't want to do anything else. We just want to train and sleep. But nowadays, I think the fighters are getting more balanced. And you'll see that, It's not just about doing drills on people, running back and forth as fast as you can. Now it's pretty technical. You got the K guard, which is great. You got false reaps. You got a bunch of things that like no one was doing back then. If you do like a backside 50-50 to any of those guys or a false reap, they're done. That's just the thing. So That's the difference. In the United States, we're doing lots of leg locks and wrestling. I don't know how much you're doing that in Brazil.
I think that's one of the things that really like changed. Like I remember like back in the day, like the wrestling, right? The Americans wrestling going to Brazil, right? It was like a game changer for not just even MMA, but also jiu-jitsu too.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu in Brazil is more influenced by wrestling. I think from the Japanese influence in Sao Paulo and all that stuff. But everything that they would teach would be like with a judo throw. And so I think just to make it more Americanized, you just, any of these self-defense moves, just turn it into a single or a double leg or a body lock. Because turning my back for a judo throw, I'm not doing that. Not right now. It's a little hard. I mean, why do I mean I'm not doing that? Is because judo takes so much longer to learn. Unless you're training from a child, it's hard. It's hard to do a lot of judo throws, but if you teach someone a single leg or a double leg, within 1 or 2 years, they'll be able to hit that.
Yeah.
So that's what's changing. We're getting... And plus, I think people are learning moves... Like the wasted moves aren't even being taught anymore.
The wasted?
Wasted moves, like moves that don't work.
Mm-hmm.
Before, you learn so many different moves that are never going to work on anyone. And I'd be thinking this will never work on anyone. So now they're eliminating a lot of that stuff. I mean, look at these guys now. They're getting really, really good. People are getting good quick. And maybe it's from the videos. I think it's just
I was going to ask you, why do you think people are getting quicker,
YouTube,
faster?
Okay, so maybe the respect levels have gone down, for sure. But the talent levels have gone up.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why the students aren't so respectful nowadays, I see. Because they're learning from everyone, so they look at their coach as not as cool as a guy anymore. As back then, the only way I learned was personal. I couldn't go see it. Back then, when people made videos, they would show junk on the videos. They wouldn't show their best moves.
Right.
You'd be like, you watch the video, like it just goes from like, it skips like the why. Like every move works because of why. What's the critical detail? But they would always skip that.
Mm-hmm.
So now we all pretty much, the information's out there. Shoot, if you want to learn leg locks, you put like Danaher Death Squad highlight reel. Put Craig Jones. Just stuff like that. Look at Craig Jones. The guy's from the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he's good. He's really good.
Right, back in the day, you had to like, find what was that Paqueta? Paqueta, the guy who would video the tournaments, or you would Sport TV or Scotty from On the Mat.
Yeah, we used to go there.
You would have to find one of those guys to get footage, right? And you would break it down. And now, I mean, you can get, there's so many instructionals, there's so many, stuff that's happening, people training inside the gym before even the tournament happens. Yeah. And then, of course, the streaming matches, right? So you can see everything
and
before,
now people are
during,
getting money.
Right.
So it's making people hungrier. Like,
right.
They're like...
Well, you can make a living, right? Competing, and you can do pretty well.
Yeah, so things...
Make a living from it.
We're at the golden age of jiu-jitsu, what I like to say. Right now is a golden age. As far as if you're coming up right now and you're good, you don't have to worry about getting another job. I don't think so. Just make sure you have health insurance. Mm-hmm. That's important. I don't have it. But I'll get it eventually. And what else we got going on? You're always going to have a harder style, a softer style. I think just try to keep your friends. And the thing is with jiu-jitsu, I wrist lock a lot of my friends. A lot of my friends get wrist locked. They end up hating me a little bit, but it's always only temporary. And then they're like, oh, it's not that bad. But yeah, Fredson was hated too in Brazil for a while with these wrist locks. Mm-hmm. I know Oswaldo would laugh when we catch people on wrist locks. I got one of the fastest matches ever in Brazil. It was the Pro Belt World Championships. I just walked out. The guy grabbed my collar. I wrist locked him in 1 second and walked off with my hands up. That was a cool highlight. What else you got going on here?
Yeah, so I've seen Jacare, like Yeah, it's all Osvaldo.
Oh, he was the scariest one.
Yeah.
Jacare was so scary. They put me do like ochikomi with him. I feel like that guy was gonna kill me. Just doing basic judo, you get scared. Because the way Osvaldo trained us was, it was like a fight. We had a little window behind us, so it was like a little bit lower. So when someone get mad at us, we would just double leg the guy into the window and throw him out into like the favela roof. You just fall down outside and feel terrible about that. But yeah, Osvaldo would have us do hard training. We'd have to go up against the wall and put our hands up like this so that our abdomen's wide open, and people would be shooting double legs with their shoulders against us, just like that for like 20 minutes. It was crazy training. We'd be carrying each other up the stairs, 5 stories. We're walking down with your friend on your back. Osvaldo he'd be saying things like, in Japan, they don't complain.
How old was he at the time?
Osvaldo always seems like he's 100 years old.
Yeah,
he's always the same.
He was like 70 in
Something.
the 70s, right?
Yeah.
In those times.
Well, with the older coaches, they always, like with those type of coaches, they do great in the beginning when they first open their school. Then in the middle, it's like on autopilot. And then before they pass away, they put a lot of what's we're looking for? Attention into their students. So I was lucky. With Carlson and Osvaldo, I was with them at the end. So think about it. Like if I'm like getting 85 years old, I'm going to want to make these guys great because they're like my last generation. And so I was very lucky to get those guys. And I have a boxing coach in Mexico that's like, he's 84 or something, the 80s. He was Julio Cesar Chavez, first boxing coach. So these guys are cool. They don't have to like teach you so much, but just being around them, you get good.
What was like Carlson Gracie? What were some key things that you learned?
He always talks straight to people. Even if, no matter what, it may be losing friends, he'd like wrist lock them with the conversation. He'd go straight up to someone, you know, like one time we seen, he don't care. Carlson would just, they call it karajipao, wood face.
No shame.
No shame. Like if anything's bothering him, he's gonna
filter. Yeah.
He's gonna go right up to him and tell him, "Hey, you're on steroids. That's bad. But your girl's on steroids too. That's worse." You know, he'd say crazy things as famous people. But then the guy would quit taking steroids and start looking healthier. His wife started looking better, and so he would help him. Like he shocked your system. You know, Carlson, when he grabbed Stephan Bonner, he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna win. You're gonna win the UFC." And Stephan's like, "Okay, I'm going to win." Yeah, he was just that type of personality. If you have Carlson Gracie in your corner, you're probably not losing because he's looking at the other guy. You're staring at him. He's behind staring at him. And their coach is curling right there. And you're getting hit by both sides. It's, I don't know what you call it. It's the highest level of martial arts. That's when your aura can help people.
Your aura.
And that's what the old guys do. And then the younger ones, they got to be there like all the time showing you things. But yeah, the older coaches, it's their aura. It's like Miyagi. Like how many moves did Miyagi show Danielson? A couple. So yeah, you got to have the aura. That's what I'm working on for later. You just walk in the room, everyone gets better. Or I walk in the room and someone gets hit with a wrist lock. So yeah, that's like Hodger's dad's like that now, kind of. That guy's cool. He's probably the coolest, like, older guy coming up now again. I would say, yeah, that's a true master of jiu-jitsu. Mauricio Gomez, he's cool. Like, when I see him and Roger teach, that's something special right there. You don't see that. Yeah, it's a lot of good people in jiu-jitsu. And I know I talk about a lot of people, but shoot, these people inspire me.
Yeah, I've been watching Mauricio Gomez speak on some podcasts, and I saw him rolling up in the motorcycle.
He's cool. That's a cool dude. Like when I went to England, I had no idea it was a grand opening of their school. I just went to go. I'm like, oh, Roger Gracie in England. I'm going to go visit. And I walk in there, and there's like hundreds and hundreds of people, cameras everywhere. I'm like, whoa, what happened? They're like, yeah, it's a grand opening of our school. What a great day to show up. And they're always nice with me. Yeah, Roger, he's calm. He's someone like, he never trained that hard. He'd always tell me, hey, slow down. You're going to get hurt. Just chill. So, yeah, he has the best defense. That's what people don't realize. That's why he's so good. You can't attack him. Like, it looks like he's submitting everyone, yeah, but there's a reason why. It's because his defense is too good. So he don't care. You can put him in any position. He's going to get out and mount. That's what he did to me. Sheesh. I used to pass his guard at Gracie Ba. I was the only one. Whoa. Then I'd pass it. I would just take a deep breath. I'm like, this guy, he's going to make me pay for this one. Then he mounts me, sits on my solar plexus. Shoot. Has me like in an arm bar, but doesn't crank it just because he's sitting on my solar plexus. Wants me to tap from pressure. But I won't tap from pressure. That's too much, man. You guys, you kids coming up, don't tap from pressure, please. You know what I mean? You can't do that. Like, I mean, to Roger, there's no really stopping that, but you shouldn't do that. Don't tap the pressure.
The smother choke, a baffle. The smother chokes.
All those ones. Yeah, I like doing those too. Like, if I can't cross face the guy with my shoulder, I just throw my chest on their face. I cross face him with my chest. A lot of good moves out there. What's the newest things I'm working on right now? Let's think. Shoot. Everything.
Never stop learning, right?
Never stop, you know. Everything's good. All the moves are great. You just got to figure out which ones you can handle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
your body type, personality.
Yeah, I'm even doing like bearing bolos from certain positions. And who would have thought I did that? That's from my friends at Atos. I have a lot of good friends over there. And one of my friends real good at leg locking. He just got a black belt, Carlon Sabino. He's really good at leg locks. So yeah, I got Glover. I have a whole network of people. And we really don't show each other moves. We just hang out. Like, I'm not going to show you nothing. You're going to use that against me. But we hang out and then we end up doing each other's moves. It's just the way it is. It's like, I don't know. If you hang out with someone, you're going to do their moves. Just the way it is. High level learning.
It's interesting, yeah. Like a lot of my friends, you pick up their moves.
Because you like them. You like that person. So you're going to want to get good at what they're good at. It's that simple. That's why I like fighting. I like Carlson. He loved fighting. If I had a different coach that liked, you know, I don't know, say he liked Americano locks, and I'd like, but my coach was straight fighting. Like, when I was coming up, I didn't want to be in a tournament. They explained to me at a young age, he's like, we don't throw these tournaments. They will cheat you. Like, you have to do a real fight. And then they cannot cheat as easily. And so, yeah, jiu-jitsu for me with the gi was just like for fun. My goal was to be like Royce Gracie. When I saw that, that's why I wanted to join jiu-jitsu. And I taught class at the Gracie Academy the other day. That was crazy, too.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Wow.
I'm going to be teaching there at a camp in October, towards the middle end of October. Yeah, that was a big honor. I felt like Ilio Gracie was calling me. And the funny thing was this, Glover and I, we hung out every single hour for like the past 10 years. We took a break from each other. I haven't talked to Glover in like 6 months. And then when I taught the class, I ended up going the following day on Saturday, and guess who was there? Glover was there. I had no idea he was going to be there. He was teaching the class, and they didn't even tell us. And so then we saw each other again. We unblocked each other. Now we're friends again. No, but we had each other straight blocked. And so Ilio Gracie, I think Ilio Gracie saved that relationship because I was trying to call Glover, where you at? He's like, nah, I don't want to talk to you. And then what happened was the Gracies invited me. How am I going to say no to them to go teach a class at the Gracie Academy, or Gracie University? And then they had Glover there the next day because they were doing a book, like 32 principles. I asked them, what's the 33rd principle? It's the wrist lock. And then Glover was there. And I ran up behind him and I grabbed his wrist. He's like, oh, I fell off my motorcycle. Don't touch my wrist. And then we're friends again. Because we couldn't have forced it. Thank you, Grandmaster Ilio Gracie. Ilio didn't want us to be enemies. Glover and the Greek, what the heck? They can't be enemies. That's bad for the sport.
What do you think about that guy who broke his neck?
I think a lot of people shut their schools down for that. Like the smaller ones that weren't making any money, they're like, you know, like, look, a lot of people in martial arts, like that's how I was in Chicago. My gym didn't make that much money. I wasn't there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it was more like just for the community. And I think the guy that, you know, with that lawsuit or whatever, a lot of schools that were just, a lot of people have schools on the side. That's what I had. It was like, it was more just for my own place. And I think with a liability like that, a lot of those schools won't be around unless they're making good money. Because a lot of people were just doing jiu-jitsu school. A lot of people have full-time jobs and have a jiu-jitsu school. Mm-hmm. And then with that going down, they're just like, no way. But, you know, can't base everything on that. And I didn't even see what exactly Henner and Huron said because I have a short attention span. So when Glover and them were talking, it was like 45-minute videos, like multiple ones. Tom DeBlass, I didn't even hear it. I just said, you know what? I felt bad for the guy that broke his neck. I know the guy Sinistro. He's really nice. Like, that's like a calm dude.
Yeah.
But I never liked that back take, by the way. Never. Like
the Leo Vieira.
When Leo did it,
yeah.
I tried it like 3 times, and I didn't almost break the other guy's neck. I almost broke my neck.
Yeah.
Because I'd roll, and I'd try to pull the guy, and then the guy doesn't roll. And then I try to do the backward flip and go back on his neck.
That's all your weight on
don't
each
like
other's
it.
necks, you know, especially if you make a wrong move.
In Chicago, we have a lot of good wrestlers. Jiu-Jitsu may not be the best thing there, but in the Midwest, we have like some of the best wrestling in the world. Like Iowa, Illinois, Indiana. Like there's those states over there, Nebraska. Those are as good as anywhere. Like you're not having Russians going over there and just dominating these guys in wrestling. No way. And so I couldn't do that back take against these crazy wrestlers. I'm not doing any moves against these wrestlers where I put all my weight on my neck. I just don't think that's cool. I mean, that's what I do to people. Like if someone's trying to armbar me and I'm stacking them, I'm not going to put them on their shoulders. Why? They're going to spin. Remember, like Nick Diaz, he always do that. Nick and Nate, you put them on their shoulders, they grab the far ankle and they spin and armbar you and flip you. But what happens when you stack the guy and put all the weight up on his neck? He can't spin on his neck, you know? So why would I do a move that I use to counter my moves? So yeah, all you guys going out there, unless you're some type of break dancer, keep your weight off your neck.
Yeah, yeah.
All right?
You broke your back? Not broke
Neck.
Your neck.
I have artificial discs in my spine in 6 places. I'm kind of like, yeah, that's why I'm not really hurrying to open up a jiu-jitsu school, because then you got to show how tough you are, and you got to beat everyone up every day. I could care less about that. I show up to jiu-jitsu when I feel good. I don't like showing up because I have to.
You look healthy. You look like happy.
I'm
like,
good.
I remember like some years back, you know, you were really messed up.
I was messed up. Well, I had the surgery over here. The guy helped me in Beverly Hills. Hegan Machado's people. Hegan knows a lot of people. Thanks, Hegan. And yeah, I'm like, if I have to do my surgery, I'll do it in Beverly Hills. I mean, where the richest people live, probably Beverly Hills. Where are they going to get their surgeries at? Probably Beverly Hills. So that's where I went. I was like, I can either do it in Chicago or Beverly Hills. I took my chances and went over there. And they fixed me up.
It went well.
Yeah, it went well.
Good.
I just get scared. Like, if they move, I get paralyzed. If the plates shift. Well, that's in the whole world, too. If the plates shift, volcanoes are up. But, yeah, I try to stay off my neck. That's why my boxing is good. Any jiu-jitsu guys get close, I'm uppercutting, hooking them. They're done. I'm good with that. When they clinch.
What are some of the things you keep in mind to stay healthy, you know, so you know, keep
I like
training?
doing morning walks. I got a bicycle. I got a GT 29-inch bike. It's like an old school little one that I had when I'm a kid, but it's big. So I have 29-inch wheels. I live in Pete's Beach. That place is great. I live 2 blocks from the ocean. And I go out there, you'll see the Bertolo brothers. You'll see all my friends. We're out there all the time. And I think just being in nature and not overtraining. When you have injuries, that's what Carlson told me back in the day. He's like, Pete, I only trained every other day because he broke his clavicle. So he's like, if I train every day, his clavicle's going to start hurting him. And his knee, too. So he would do his hard training every other day, and I kind of follow that. So I do like 1 day easy, 1 day hard, 1 day easy, 1 day hard. Because if I do 5 days hard, I'm going to be hurt. So I think that's another thing. And I go by Galvaos a lot. I train in their competition class. That helps because they're trying to screw me up. Like, they look at me.
What
like,
are some things
right.
you try to, think about to stay healthy, to keep your body healthy? Or things you do?
Shoot, I got all types of stuff. In Chicago, I go to my cousin's sauna. It's a Russian sauna. It's called the Chicago Sweat Lodge. In California, I stay outside. We go to the 24-hour fitness. We got another health club by me. We just stay active. You got to stay active.
Keep moving.
Yeah, like if you wake up and you want to go back to sleep, that's fine for like an hour, but get up and get outside. And seeing my friends, that helps me a lot too. Just being around the right people. Mm-hmm. Like I go around Jocko, that raised my testosterone levels immediately. I go hang out with Jocko for an afternoon, I'm pumped. So yeah, hanging out with these people, you go see Galval for afternoon. Shoot, I feel like going to church after that. So it's like there's a lot of good influences out there.
Yeah. Interesting.
Like I see you and I'm like, man, this guy understands how to do things. You understand certain things. You're like, whoa, this technique's not working. Now I got this one to back it up, so you got all types of stuff. So yeah, just seeing people successful and what they do helps me because right now I'm not trying to be the best coach. I'm trying to be the best student. And so being a student, I'm picking up stuff because with the coach's mentality.
That's the best place to be.
You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at because being the coach, now what? What am I supposed to do? No, I'm the student. I'm here to learn, and that's what I do. And eventually, I'm picking up. I'm like if we're an iPhone. I'm becoming like the next version, right now. I could stay the best one, but I know that's going to be obsolete soon. And I'm in California. You can't just move from Chicago to California and you have to look at this place. This is a whole different world right here. Like, if I'm not careful here, I'll get lost in the sauce quick. So this is a place you have to be the best of the best. This is no messing around over here. You come over here and you think you're cool, you end up losing all your money and end up having to move to Arizona or something. Shoot. So I'm doing well. And shout out to Jocko Fuel. They give me my supplements. That helps a lot, too, though. I take the milk. I take the greens. I take maca. What else am I taking? I got a good multivitamin from Germany. Bone marrow. I go to Mexico and go to Brazilian steakhouses like twice a week.
In Mexico?
Yeah, right over there, because we live like 20 minutes. So I go boxing in Mexico. The boxing helps a lot. Like, not so much getting hit, but just picking up techniques. I'm around these old guys that know everything, and that helps me. Kind of like when Carlson died, then I had Oswaldo. Oswaldo died. Now I got this guy. So, yeah. Just being around the right people. You're around, look at the opposite of that question. If I was looking like shit, my answer would be, I'm around the wrong people.
That's it.
That's it. You're around the right people, you look better. Sure, I look tired, but I got a broken neck and a broken back, so I'm always going to have these bags because I don't sleep right like a regular person. Shoot, I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night, my neck's going to be sore, and I'll go back to sleep. But yeah, I wish I could fix my eyes, but just got broken. Shoot. I'm doing good for where I was.
We did a cold plunge before we came.
That was great. That's probably why I feel so good right now too. That's what I'm saying. So look, you have the food next door to eat, so you're not even gonna mess around. You got so it's all full circle, and then you have the place next door to heal up. So it's full circle.
Stretching and recovery place.
Perfect. Because look, how are you really gonna get recovered too well? Here was my problem with getting massages and stuff in Chicago. I'd have to drive like 30 minutes. I'd get the massage. and then I got to get back in the car and drive again. That's hard. So something like this, you keep it all right here, boom, 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 and it all works together.
Yeah, how important is recovery?
Most important. So you have working out and then you have working in. I focus on both. Working in is like preparing yourself to work out. You're working internally. Breathing. I play didgeridoo. That's good for my breath. What else we're doing lately? We do Normatex.
Right.
Those are great.
Yeah. We have some of those at Revive.
I saw that. Those are great. The twins have that. Rotolo Brothers. They got a real nice massage chair. It's like a $4,000 massage chair. That thing's great. You put on Normatec, that, and chill. And then, you know, what else are you doing for recovery? That's about it. Nothing too special. I mean, look, in California, you don't have to get too crazy because the weather's perfect. You just need to be outside. Mm-hmm. In Chicago, it's a little bit trickier. When it's below zero, like, how are you going to recover? Then I go to the Russian sweat lodge, and I got to do all that stuff. But over here, it's not so necessary. I think we're in the best place in the world.
Yeah.
And enjoy outdoors, and you'll watch yourself recover.
That's it. That's it. What's the future of jiu-jitsu? Where do you see it going?
Dude, it's going to go far. It's everywhere. I mean, every little kid knows how to do a rear naked choke now. Mm-hmm. Every 5-year-old, every 10-year-old. Jiu-jitsu's great. I think it was missing for so long that the world needed it. It needed it. I mean, what would be without jiu-jitsu? I don't know. It'd be more fake people out there. Jiu-jitsu, all your emotions are involved. So you get so much stronger when you're on the mat. You're getting tapped out. You're being scared. You're tapping people. You're getting happy. You know, so you're experiencing all those emotions. It's going to make you a better person. You just got to stay healthy. Don't come back from injuries too soon. Like, you don't want to re-injure the same injuries. You know, and have smart training partners. That's another thing. Like, I train with people I love, and they love me. So, like, we're less likely to hurt each other. You know, if you're training with people regularly that you don't like and they don't like you, things get hurt. Yeah. Feelings. But man, if the person really loves you, I mean, you shouldn't really get hurt. Because they're not trying to hurt you. But that's why we go to Mexico a lot. We go to Entrim Gym.
Entrim, yeah. Raul.
Yeah, so I teach there once in a while.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so I go there a lot. I was there yesterday. Mm-hmm. Or no, 2 days ago.
Brandon Moreno, where he
yeah,
came out of.
They got a lot of good guys there. So, yeah, I was there a couple days ago. They have so many fighters where there's like 50 people training on the mat, maybe 50 to 100.
Pro MMA.
Pro MMA, but that's just for one weight class. Then they have the other weight class. That's how many people they have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Raul's
like
cool.
three or four stories, right?
Yep. So you got the first story. They have the barber shop. Second story, we got the jiu-jitsu mat. And third story, you have like the workout facility plus weights, the MMA. Yep. And then on the top, they have like the living quarters.
I think it's boxing, isn't it? The top story?
Mm-hmm.
The boxing.
It's boxing. But then like next door, the building is where they live.
They live, yeah.
And then I live on the same street there.
Okay.
And then my good friend, like, is good friends with them. So it all makes sense to hang out there. They're cool. Yeah. And so there, when we go there to train, they're grinding harder. It's more like Brazil.
Yeah. It reminds me of the Brazil, old school
you
Brazil
feel
days.
like you're in Brazil. That's why I like it. You go in there, it smells like you're in Brazil. And they come after you. Even if it's a blue belt, he's coming after you to kill you. And so, like, you get to feel that. You know, you feel that. When you tap them or you choke someone over there, you feel like you just killed them. Because they're not giving up.
They're hungry.
They're hungry. So, like, that's why even Cade and Ty go there. They just went there with Pat from Ruka. Because in just a jiu-jitsu gym, everything's a little bit too flowy. So it's good to feel that kind of stuff. And the boxing's great. Like in Mexico, the striking is top-notch. I have a few fighters from out there. They train now at the Goat Shed in Miami. And their striking's great. The wrestling not as good in Mexico, no way. But the striking is good. And the jiu-jitsu's good over there because a lot of their guys were going to Açaí for many years before COVID. They would wake up 4 a.m.
Raul got his black belt from Dean Lister,
Dean
right?
Lister. And he has some good guys. He has Damien is really good, little guy. And Martin and his brother are really good. They have girls that are really good. And a lot of the fighters aren't even from Mexico there. They're from all over Latin America because they have their own fight show. They're smart. They have their own fight show in the building. So they don't have, their fighters don't have to go looking for promoters or anything. It's right there. So everything's taken care of. And yeah, Raul, he's cool. They got a good gym. Shout out to Entrim. And then, should I go there? I'm all over the place. And I like it that way. If not, I would have just opened up a hot dog place with my dad, be stuck and be a millionaire, probably gamble a little bit. I mean, that's what we do. We're Greeks. I'm Greek and Sicilian. My cousin's the head of the Illinois Restaurant Association. So, like, I could have a job in any restaurant doing anything. I could go work at the casino they just opened up in Chicago. Shout out to Chicago. You guys always got my back. I can go home tomorrow and just be hooked up.
White belt, a guy starting out. What do you have to say? For tips for success or their success?
Wash your gi. Learn how to wash your gi first. Like, that's the main thing. Like, stay home and wash it. Get some OxyClean. Wash your gi. Okay, what else are we going to do? Don't overthink things. Just show up, you know? After you do about 20 classes with your coach, you'll know a little something. And then after about 2 years, you'll be pretty good. But it's like learning a language. Approach jiu-jitsu to learning a language. So, it's a body language. Like, people think like just like, you know, if you're deaf, you use sign language. No, jiu-jitsu is a complete body language. It's how to strangle someone. So, example, if you've never learned a language before and you want to learn Spanish, it's going to take a while to learn. But if you've learned languages before, such as Spanish, you could learn Portuguese easy. You could learn French easy. So just like if you've been wrestling or doing Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu is going to be easier to pick up. But if you're from scratch, approach it like learning a language. So you can ask the guy, like, how long would it take you to learn Spanish from scratch? It all depends, you know. Like, if you're going to learn it in a school, a couple days a week, it's going to take a while. Are you going to move to Mexico and just start, then you can learn quicker. So I say at least 2 to 3 years to have a game plan together. And just don't overthink it. It took me 6 months to even fathom what a triangle was. I would try to think, like, how does this work? I don't get it. Now I understand it's just closing your guard with one arm inside. Like, what's an omoplata? It's just a triangle without the head. So it takes a while to figure all this stuff out. So don't be in a hurry. Don't drive your coach nuts. Like, example, here's what not to do. When your coach is teaching, don't raise your hand every time and ask him questions. Just, you're not going to understand anything. Just keep showing up. Imagine you want to learn Chinese from scratch. You know? So you have to put yourself into it.
Show up, yeah.
And just remember one thing. The more you love jiu-jitsu, the more jiu-jitsu will love you back. It's that simple. Sometimes the best option is having no option. You know, and that's how I was able to get good. That's how Glover was able to get good. I'm sure that's how you were able to get good. Is just try to make friends with the best people at your school. Make sure they take care of you. It's like a clan. If the best guys like you, they're gonna help you. That's how we used to learn at Carlson Gym in Brazil. It wasn't so much like instructions in the class. But these guys would take me, hey, come here. Let me show you this. I'm like, whoa, that was sick. Like, thanks. You know, that's how people are going to take care of you.
Saul Rivera said that. That's something I always remembered. I did a podcast with him, and he was just saying he learned the most from, like, his teammates.
Yeah.
His
Your
training
friends.
partners, yeah.
Just be nice, man. Show up, be clean. You're going to get good. I mean, the instruction's good everywhere. I don't care what gym you go to in the whole country right now. They're going to have some badass purple belts, no matter what. I don't care if the instructor never competed, never did this, never did that. He's going to have purple belts in there to maul people. And so that's a good sign. It's growing everywhere. I don't think there's not one school in the country you can go into and not have a rough time with some purple belts. You know, the white belts, hey, man.
Everybody's getting good.
Everyone's getting good. So, like, hey, if you're a white belt, just remember one thing. The black belt's a white belt that got dirty after many years.
Yeah, that's it. Speaking of black belts, what tips do you have for, black belt, somebody that's been 10 plus years in the game?
Oh, maybe go join a judo gym or a wrestling place and just supplement that. That'll make your jiu-jitsu so much better. Like, wrestling's great, but judo's good too, because sometimes you need a little bit of a mix to throw off the wrestler. So yeah, that's the number one thing. I think, man, if someone gets their black belt right now, go join a judo and wrestling, like go maybe get a high school wrestling club or a college one or whatever and work on that for a year. Because that's something that they don't want to do. But if you do that, you'll have no regrets. So that's what I would do if I was a new black belt. I would focus on my wrestling and my judo a little bit. I know it's a little more boring, but man, once you get that down, now your jiu-jitsu is superpower.
That's it. Yeah. Always stay learning, right? And open up be a complete fighter, be a complete jiu-jitsu athlete.
And if your body's hurt, you got to learn how to shadow fight, not just shadow boxing, just moving around. That's what I do most. And most of my training is done alone. I could take a chair, move around it, circle it. And I like to work a lot of my power now side to side and circular. Not so much like, I know anyone can run like 5 miles like this, but how many people can run laterally 1 mile? It's going side to side. So that's where the power comes from when you're a little bit shorter like myself. I'm never going to be like a fighter like John Jones that can keep people away. I'm going to have to always circle. And so I work on that, kind of like Mike Tyson stuff. That's what keeps me active. And you got to, like, enjoy life. Don't overthink things. All these people talk about this and talk about that. The world's flat, the world's round. I haven't seen a picture of any of this stuff. I don't even care. We got jiu-jitsu right now. That's the most important thing. Whether Earth's flat, whether it's round or whatever, because you take away our jiu-jitsu, you take away our platform.
That's it. That's it.
Got good stuff. I don't know. I talk a lot. But I got a lot of stories, I make people laugh.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for coming by.
Oh, there you go.
Always a good time. Always some good laughs.
Wrist Lock the World.
Wrist Lock the World.
Hey, guys, get my videos.
Yeah, how can people find you?
Okay, you can find me on Instagram, Pete the Greek, Wrist Lock the World. I'm only half Greek. I'm half Greek and Sicilian. So I'm both. Maybe you change an E to an A and a K to a T, turns a Pete the Great. That's when I'm 50. I got 5 more years for that. What else? We got Facebook. I barely use it. I'm trying to do TikTok wrist lock, but I can't even figure that out. I got to get like a 6-year-old to help me with that. And
real talk right there.
No, I'm serious. TikTok wrist lock. I had one little kid post me one video. I tried posting one the other day. It's like, forget about it. I'm scared they're going to shut down my Instagram with that. Yeah, guys, so BJJ Fanatics, I got 20 videos with them. I just came out with a new one called Wrist Lock the World, the Master Class. And, man, if you want to hang out, come visit me in San Diego. I teach privates. I teach small group classes. I can come to your school, go to your garage, wherever. Just don't try and beat me up, because I'll probably try and knock you out. I'm only kidding. I got friends that are bigger than me. They always make sure I'm okay. So, yeah, that's about it, Mr. Alberto. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You got a beautiful school, Legacy Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You guys ever out here in Los Angeles? The name of this area is Burbank?
Burbank.
Come on over. It's a great, great gym. Joey Diaz used to train here. Shout out to Joey and everybody out there. Thanks for the support. Thanks, Alberto.
Thank you.